Greetings everyone, my name is Dominic and today you're tuning in to the Comic Book Report, where we review comic books and graphic novels so you can get an idea of what to read. And today we're taking a look at the Green Lantern by Geoff Johns Omnibus set from DC Comics. I'm doing this video simply because this is a huge comic collecting goal for me, omnibus collecting goal for me. For some time I've wanted to pick up this 3-volume set. I've always put it off or prioritized other works, and I'm so happy I finally have all 3 of these volumes in my collection. Over the course of this quick video, we're going to be looking quickly at all 3 volumes. I'll try to tread lightly on spoilers, but I might touch on a little bit, so if you want to go in completely blank slate to this run, maybe skip through this video, but if you don't care for maybe light spoilers as I'm flipping through, again, I'll try to keep it light. I hope you enjoy the video. I'd just like to shout out as well the channel sponsor, OrganicPriceBooks.com. If you're looking to pick up your own comic book collected editions, perhaps even these releases here, I highly encourage you to check out their website. You can find a link for it in this video's description, and if you see anything on their website you like, you can actually use my discount code at checkout, TheComicBookReport, to save $2 off of your order. Please note if you use my affiliate link or code to make a purchase, I will earn a small commission, but it's probably the best way to support this channel. Thank you so much for considering. Now let's take a look at Green Lantern by Geoff Johns. Okay, first up, we're going to be taking a look at the Volume 1 Omnibus here. We have this beautiful cover by probably Alex Ross. It's unmistakable, that kind of photorealistic painted style here. I'll admit that this is maybe not my favorite cover of the bunch, though I have to admit it's the most impressive. I'll just never get over Alex Ross's style, how he makes these comic book characters jump into the real world through his medium. It's so impressive. On the back cover of the omnibus, we do have a description about the book, the contents, pricing information, and we're treated to another great image of Hal Jordan's Green Lantern. The art style we see of this Green Lantern on the back cover is more indicative of the kind of art you'll see within this omnibus, though we do have a lot of great pencilers even within this first volume, so we do get to see a handful of varied styles, all really exquisite, at least in my mind. And now, just for this first volume, I'll show a quick look at the binding for all of you. As you can see, it's a nice glued binding, or possibly sewn with a lot of glue in the binding. This is a big book, and I do think this glue is going to hold up, hopefully. But yeah, overall, not a ton of issues with this binding so far as I've been making my way through. Pages are a bit stiff, and some fall into the gutter here and there. But I think as this book relaxes, and as I make my way through, I'm not really worried about gutter loss. As we make our way into the omnibus, though, we are treated to title pages, publication information page, and then we're kind of off to the races with the first issue here. I like that with each issue break, we have kind of a title of the issue. I think that's a really nice touch, some of the creatives. But yeah, we basically jump in, and this whole Green Lantern by Geoff Johns saga really starts with the Green Lantern Rebirth, not to be confused with the period of DC Comics known as the Rebirth era. This is actually a mini-series called Green Lantern Rebirth that all has to do with Hal Jordan coming back into the universe as the Green Lantern. Now, in the comic sphere, or the DC Comics in general, Hal Jordan had not been Green Lantern for some time. He kind of went dark side, became someone known as Parallax, and ultimately he became the Spectre, or the Spectre inhabited him. So he was kind of off the board as the Green Lantern. This is really when we had a lot more from like Kyle Rayner as Green Lantern through the 90s. You also had John Stewart Green Lantern and Guy Gardner Green Lantern still around as the Green Lanterns for this sector, while Hal Jordan was, again, just the Spectre. But again, I don't want to go too heavy into spoilers here, but essentially the mini-series Green Lantern Rebirth that kicks off this omnibus has to do with putting Hal Jordan back as a functioning Green Lantern. It really sets the stage for all that's to come with the run here, where basically Green Lanterns are back in full force. We have the rebuilding of the Green Lantern Corps, because I believe, if I'm not mistaken, for a while, Kyle Rayner was like the final Green Lantern, and Oa was kind of in disarray, and the Corps was kind of done. Anyway, this is like the foundation of not only Hal Jordan as Green Lantern again, but the reestablishment of the Green Lantern Corps. You see a lot more of that, obviously, in the Green Lantern Corps comic run by Peter J. Tomasi and Patrick Gleason. Those recently got a 2-volume omnibus set that should not be confused with this here with Geoff Johns' Green Lantern, although we do have some issues from that in this omnibus as well, so there's a little double dipping here and there. At any rate, Volume 1, again, just reestablishes the core, and we have Hal Jordan's ongoing adventures as the Green Lantern. This omnibus kind of culminates with the Sinestro War core event, so if you like Sinestro and Green Lantern, this is a really great omnibus. Like I said, it's a foundational volume for everything that Geoff Johns will build from this point on. Okay, next up today is Green Lantern by Geoff Johns, Omnibus Volume 2, and for those wondering, this is my favorite cover of the 3 volumes. I love that we get to see all the different light spectrum lantern cores represented here, and of course Hal in the middle. Just beautifully done. Also, interestingly enough, of all 3 volumes, this is the newest printing, and I know that because it has the new DC logo. I'm not sure if all the other ones are getting reprinted soon, but I thought I would make a note of it if anyone's trying to collect all 3. You might have mismatched logos between the old DC logo and the new one. You can see it on the front cover here, and at the end of this video I'll show you all the spines. You'll see the difference there as well. On the back cover, a lot like the first, we have an image of the Green Lantern, blurb about this part of the run, along with the contents, pricing information, things like that. Okay, and just kind of quickly diving into Book 2, again, I'm trying to tread lighter on spoilers, but I'm just going to give you an overall shape of some of these volumes, and hopefully I can convince a whole new batch of readers to check out Geoff Johns' Green Lantern. Again, this was a huge collecting goal for myself. This is actually one of my favorite comic book runs of all time. I used to have this entire run in a handful of mismatched paperbacks and hardcovers back in the day. I sold off most of my collection of comics a while ago now. I actually thought I was going to be out of comics, and eventually I got my way back in the last 4 or 5 years. Since then, I had a couple small paperbacks a part of this run, but I never had the run in full. Sold it off again, hoping to get these Omnis, and here we go. It's back in the collection. I'm so elated. In this volume, though, we have the sort of opening up of the different Lantern cores. We see that there's not only the Green Lantern core and the Sinestro War core, but all of these other aspects of the light spectrum. Like we have the Red Lanterns and the Blue Lanterns and they all have different names. We have all the different colored lanterns. This also culminates in the same way Volume 1 sort of culminated with Sinestro War Corps. The big focal point of this volume, other than just showcasing all the lantern cores, is bringing us into the Blackest Night event. In many ways, this is one of the strongest points in Geoff Johns' run, at least in my mind. It's actually one of my favorite DC events. It's really cool. It brings in the kind of black lanterns that are essentially zombies, and I just thought it was really neat. I also just love all the pretty colors. I know that sounds superficial, but I do think what Geoff Johns and team did here is really just striking and beautifully done. I thought it was also a work of genius to incorporate all of these different colored lantern cores. What a fun way to build out this universe that felt like it absolutely had its place here. It felt like an innovation at the same time, but it just works in this world. Again, I'm not overly well versed in Green Lantern. In fact, most of my knowledge of Green Lantern is from this run, but I have dabbled a bit before and after this point. But in my mind, again, Geoff Johns is just such a great lore builder, and I definitely saw that on full display within this second volume of this incredible run. Okay, and last but not least, we have Volume 3 of Green Lantern by Geoff Johns. This rounds out his main run on the book. Again, that doesn't include like the Blackest Night Omnibus or Brightest Day, which feature a bunch of tie-ins, and in the case of Brightest Day, like a whole other event omnibus. It also doesn't include all the issues going on during the Green Lantern Corps era or the Red Lanterns. I know that was a run as well that's, I believe, getting an omnibus soon. But for Geoff Johns' main storytelling part of the Green Lantern and the applicable tie-in issues, this is Volume 3. This rounds it out. Interestingly enough for me, for this volume, I remember when this was coming out because the tail end of Geoff Johns' run was coming out right when I was starting to get into comic books and collected editions, and I remember this was when DC was starting to transition into the New 52 era, which started all of the comic titles with a brand new #1 issue. In a lot of cases, this would be within the Flashpoint universe, and it kind of resets some of the timeline, but I remember there was a couple titles that didn't really have to reset all that much, or they were finishing out really grand storytelling arcs, and they were kind of allowed to just continue on. I know that was the case with like Batman Incorporated from Grant Morrison. That was really the tail end of Morrison's run, so it was sort of uninterrupted as we transitioned into the New 52. And the very same thing happened here from memory for Green Lantern. So we have the last issues of the Geoff Johns Green Lantern from the old numbering, and then we go right into the new 52 issues, but it does have kind of one cohesive story. We have the introduction of a new Green Lantern for the Earth sector as well, which is always fun. But this volume to me stuck out. As much as it was wrapping up things from what had happened before, I also just loved the character development we got with the character of Sinestro. And I won't spoil too much for the course of this video. Perhaps if I do a full review of Volume 3 sometime in the future, I'll talk about it more. But I think the way that Geoff Johns has made a lot of villainous characters so much more rounded and sympathetic has always been an earmark, especially in his DC work, that I've really enjoyed. Like, he really lent so much more humanity to the Rogues Gallery in his Flash run, and I absolutely see the same thing done here with Sinestro. There's a really tragic and beautiful arc here, and it's definitely a standout for this whole volume. I don't know if there's as many big hits in this volume as the first two, but I still thought that this was really good. I think he landed the plane successfully. Okay, and that was a quick look at the 3-volume set for Green Lantern by Geoff Johns. Showing you the spines here, as I mentioned earlier, you can see that my Volume 2 is in fact a newer printing because we have that new DC Bullet logo as opposed to the older DC logo on Volume 1 and 3. So again, I'm not really sure when DC reprinted this. It must have been recently. I'm not sure when they're reprinting Volume 1 and 3, so you do run the risk, if you're collecting them all like myself, of having some mismatched spines. This doesn't bother me at all. I'm just so elated to have it in my collection. For such a long time now, it's been a personal collecting goal of mine to have this run back in my collection in some format. I really hoped I'd be able to do the omnibus route, and now here we are. Again, so excited. I'd love to hear in the comments section, are you a fan of Green Lantern from Geoff Johns? What are some of your favorite Geoff Johns comic runs of all time? Or maybe some favorite Green Lantern stories that are either in this run or beyond? I'd love to get some good conversations going about all of that. Do you own these omnibuses? Do you have the Geoff Johns run in some form? I'd love to hear all of that in the comments section as well. Again, I was just really excited to finally have this all in my collection. I thought I'd do a quick video just showcasing it and doing a flyby overview of this series and this omnibus set. Thank you so much for watching with me, and until next time, this has been the Comic Book Report. Please don't forget to give this video a like, that comment we talked about, and maybe share the video with a friend. Thanks, and have a good one.